Mute.
So just a reminder, when we go into executive session, I go up there and I mute that pad so that nobody on the public
Right.
screen can hear.
Right.
Yeah.
Although they still can watch. I thought when you do executive session, it's just you kick everybody out. Huh?
No, I share screen and just say executive session.
Oh, okay.
But one time we did it and I go up there and I mute that pad so that nobody on the public screen can hear.
Okay, let me switch it back to this one here.
Or just like but nobody's
Okay, like that is about right, or you want to?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Kind of blur. So let me try to mute.
Oh, there, now I can see it.
Microphone. Testing that. Yeah, okay, microphone works. Now you can unmute me if you want to.
Yeah, you're not muted.
Okay. Okay, so I guess that's that. And
So I thought they'll be able to hear. Because it's picking up, yeah.
yeah, this one's picking up here.
This is, I have it on the YouTube channel so we can see it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I guess that's that. And that's kind of delayed, huh?
It is a delayed one. I noticed that when I had it outside, how much of a delay it was.
Yeah, it's like quite a 30-second or something. That's a good delay. And there's nobody's going to be using here, right? I mean,
Right, we're just gonna be over here.
right. And
If anybody else comes, yeah.
when he's going to share the screen or something, you know how, right? Or you can just sign in and share.
He's gonna sign in and share.
Okay, I mean, there's not a way to go about it. I mean, it's not important.
So I told him next time he's here and you're here, then he could come in here and try the video and we can figure out what.
Yeah, he kind of figured out why and what's up. So I guess,
He did?
yeah, I talked to him. He said it was, yeah, you have to enable audio or something when he does the sharing screen.
Oh.
So this is Greg here, or is anybody else?
One of Andy might come.
And what's that? Roberta is coming.
Roberta's in the main line, so it might just be Andy or it might just be me.
Oh, okay.
I know, I was thinking I should just do it from my office, but
Right.
if people come, you know, it's like, you have to have it.
Okay, so I'll ask Mark about that monitor. Maybe he took it back or something. So that's.
Yeah, I mean, and if you have another one sitting around, otherwise Stephanie turned hers back in and it's probably 30-inch or something. I can probably just grab that.
Yeah, I'll ask him about yeah, okay, let me go check with him. Yeah, he took it. So,
That's okay, I mean, if
yeah, if you
people
have
come, I'll
another
just,
one, yeah, maybe smaller, yeah. that's
is the
probably works.
HDMI over there?
The cable is probably there. If you don't have a cable, they give you a cable.
Yeah, I'll just grab the
HDMI
one Stephanie.
cable is not here. I can give you a
Okay.
cable. You want to set up for today or it's already?
I might have one in there. Let me look.
You want to still want to set it up for today?
Yeah, we can try it just to see. Cause I don't know if the.
Okay, I'll grab you a tape, HDMI
It's
cable.
coming now.
I mean, do you only have a security card? Is there security card? I don't know. That's where you. You don't have to.
I don't think they're coming, those are just the workers.
Okay, so it's gonna hook up to your laptop, huh?
Yeah, we can try it.
And, you don't need all this, I need the power cable. The power strip, huh? Power strip is on.
Oh, it is.
Hmm.
I only have the extension.
It's not in your stash?
No, I have left it with the TV.
Somebody just, it's too convenient that it's not there.
Somebody came shopping in here.
Oh, boy. Okay. Oh, you don't have anything in your office, power strip.
I can go look. What about just borrowing this one right here? Maybe that's it. We'll just
Oh,
plug it back
okay.
in, or is that stuff on?
It's, doing something.
Oh, it is, okay. I'm gonna look in the office.
How are you, Billy?
I wanna, don't worry about it, no, just, anybody out there?
No.
Hi, Roberta.
Hi. Can you hear
How's
me?
baby girl?
Oh, she's doing great.
Is she a good baby?
Yeah. You know, getting adjusted to the hours, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When she's up, when she's asleep. I'm glad I have that done. You've been traveling a lot.
Yeah, I don't like to be away more than a week or 10 days. I miss home and I love being home. But it was 2 occasions in Denver area that had a middle week. So I went to Manhattan, Kansas, and joined the 55th class reunion of the veterinary class of 1967.
Wow. That
And
must
it's
have been fun.
amazing how many guys and gals came with their wives. And we had a wonderful 4 days together, although our class was a close one. We all hung together for 4 years. We're unusually unified in whatever we set out to. So it was good to reminisce, Roberta, about, the beginning part is really a hardship because it's almost military and how they handle you. And you grow to really appreciate by the time you're a senior that these instructors, professors that seem so stern and hard on you, are actually your biggest supporters. They wanted you to succeed. So we had a lot of laughs about the occasional fumbles that we all happened to be involved in. Talk about grandkids. Then we left and went back to Denver to go to the sort of, I guess you call it a cotillion coming out party for my youngest granddaughter there. And that was an occasion in which Pat really enjoys dressing up. And of course, that's not my fondest dream, around in a tuxedo, but she was
Kick off.
naturally.
Just you can leave the one, leave it on.
That's great.
It doesn't matter, you can leave it on. Yeah.
All right, thanks for your help.
That's great. Tell Pat it's always wonderful to have an occasion to dress up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, something like that. And of course, each year we go to Oklahoma, the National Western Heritage Awards, and that's a real dress up affair. But in a Western context, dressing up is not nearly for men. It's almost upgraded, Western business attire. So it is tuxedo, but it's more cowboy tuxedo, so it's livable. But that's a fun occasion, and 2 years now we've taken the kids, and they, especially the wives, really enjoy it. It's part of the deal. I know who.
Hi, Dr. Bergen. How are you today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Hi, Roberta. I'm good. Hi, Roberta. Doing good.
See you.
There's Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Sorry, muted. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Greg.
Greg.
Roberta, Julie just called me. She's stuck in traffic. So she's trying to get home. She's going to call in on her phone. So Carrie, I don't know what her number is, but you should see someone calling in. And then when she gets to her house, she'll log in.
Okay.
Did Diana say whether she could make it or not?
I did not hear. Did you hear?
Yeah, I
Karen?
didn't hear either, but I can give her a call.
Okay. Thank you. Billy, are you back?
I'm back, very happy to be back. I've been home for a couple of weeks and I just love being at home. I don't, traveling is good fun in a way, but it's got to be short. And I want to come home to my horse, my little heifer, and all of these beautiful mango trees out here, just watching them bloom. And no, of course, yesterday was a huge race day at Parker Ranch. It's probably the largest I've ever seen.
Oh, really? Wow.
I just guessed maybe 4,000 people came, and so many people wanted to be out in the open.
Yeah.
And that was really well produced, and of course kept in a very tight timely manner. So that went well. They honored Patty Cook and Carol Ignacio. Those are two ladies have given every bit of their energy to the community, especially the downtrodden and hungry.
Yeah.
Thought it was so thoughtful of Parker Ranch to honor them, so deserving. And they each gave short little talks that were naturally including of humor. So that made for an easy and warm reception for them. No, it was a good day. Windy as can be. Today is a little bit less windy, but that's part of the deal. Greg, how it can blow here. So deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Diana, this is Carrie at CMS. Just wanted to see if you're joining the MPMB meeting. You can call me back on my cell phone if you need that. It's fine.
So who was the big winner of the race, the horse race?
I would say two fellows, Bronson Branco and Tyler Cox. Now, those two guys are, in their very early 20s. They each have wives and small little kids. But in both cases, they're descendants of former employees. In fact, the makeup of the cowboy crew of about 12 of them, they're all very, very young men. And I would say 60% of them trace their lineage back to former employees of the ranch. So it's nice to hear their family names and the family stories and stuff. But those two guys, and I think they were 1 point apart in first and second on that.
Wow.
So it was well attended. They have the sort of the awards thing in sort of a luncheon behind, and they play the Hawaiian music so loud that I go there just to see my old buddies, and we're all in our 80s and we're all deaf. And when the music is loud and we're yelling at each other, people get confused between friendship and not. But that's okay. The music was good. It was just overwhelming, but that's
Carrie, Julie said she's in the waiting room on her phone.
Yeah, I don't see her yet. I hope she went in the right link because I don't see her there yet.
Okay, let me text her.
My plan is to convene the meeting as soon as Julie joins us.
Okay. Yeah, I texted her to let her know that she might be in the wrong link. Gonna try to send her the right one. Okay. She's trying to get in here. So I just sent her the meeting ID. So Roberta, you still on the mainland?
Yeah, calling in from Portland.
Portland? What's the weather like?
Actually, it's been really beautiful.
Really?
Highs in the 70s, lows in the 50s. Okay. I think it's been raining and muggy in Hilo. So I'm not missing. Carrie, do you see Jolie in the waiting room?
Yeah, she's not in there yet.
She asked for the meeting ID and the passcode, and I sent it to her.
Well, I think I'll go ahead and start the meeting since
Okay.
we have just, great. Thank you, Carrie. So it is now 5:08 and I will call the meeting to order. Usual protocol, please let me know if anyone on the Zoom call has other people other than themselves in attendance. Please raise your hand. Okay, if not, we are all attending via Zoom by ourselves. And I see that Julie is about to hook up via phone. Julie, if you could just, confirm that you're by yourself, that would be great.
Julie, you're muted if you can hear us.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yep.
We can.
Okay, sorry, I'm on the road and yes, there's someone here driving.
So Gary, is protocol just to know who that person is?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, Julie, if you could just tell us who the driver is, that would be great for the record.
Yeah, for the record, Glenda Mitchell.
Okay, thank you. So we will now, I just called the meeting to order. So the first item on the agenda, minutes of the last meeting. No, I'm sorry. There is no public or written testimony that was provided. So for the record, there is no testimonies today. So now we can move on to the rest of the agenda.
Oh, you're muted, Roberta.
There's Julie.
Sorry. Oh yeah, there's Julie. Hi, Julie. So are there any changes or corrections to the minutes that were circulated for the last public meeting?
I move to approve the minutes of
Second.
June 7th.
There's a motion to move and approve the minutes as presented. Any further discussion or comment? If not, all in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous approval of the minutes. Okay, the next agenda item, Executive Director's Report.
Oh, before we get to Executive Director's Report, Kahukumana report.
Yes, Kahukumana.
So there is no report. They are scheduled to meet tomorrow. The last meeting was postponed. So they're scheduled to meet tomorrow, but that might get pushed back to next week. They are, however, in the process of reviewing the same document that we'll be reviewing with you folks tonight, the EA and Conservation District use application for the UH Hilo new telescope, new education telescope. So they will begin their review this week as well.
Okay, thank you. That was the Kahukumana report. I see that Diana Bandekar joined us. So Diana.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I don't know how long I'll be on because I'm just having lots of issues with my computer or my modem or something. So sorry about this.
No, that's okay. Can you just tell us or just confirm that you're the only one in the room?
I am the only one in the room.
Thank you for confirmation. That's for the records. We unanimously approved the minutes of the last board meeting, and Greg informed us of Kahukumana. They had to postpone their meeting, but we'll be reviewing the information that we are going to be looking at tonight. Do you want to move on to the Executive Director's Report?
Sure. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for making time to be here with us. For this evening's tonight's Executive Director's Report, once again, I'll be just focusing on where we are relative to HB 2024. I know we reviewed that last time, but obviously things have moved forward and progressed with the governor's decision to not include the bill on his veto list. I do have an update. I want to focus on that. I'm going to pull up my screen. I have a few slides to share. And let me just expand the screen here. Okay. As I said, my executive director's report tonight will focus on where we are already relative to House Bill 2024. Before I get into some of the nuts and bolts, I just kind of want to reaffirm something that I have reviewed with this group and with other groups in the last several years, quite frankly, that despite and because of the turmoil that has been going on surrounding astronomy on Mauna Kea in particular, it has been a challenge to really be able to engage with the community and find ways that we might be able to move forward. And of course, the pandemic did not help anything. But nonetheless, we have listened to the community over the years through various venues. And I do believe that as we now look forward to this new sort of era in Mauna Kea governance, it's going to be important that we find common ground. And I do believe that there are some things that we can build from. And it'll be important for the new board to sort of explore ways that they might be able to build on these things that, in my mind, are things that we all can agree on. And there's basically four things that I have talked to people over the years about that I do believe we all do share, no matter what side of the issue of TMT or Mauna Kea astronomy you sit on. First and foremost, the Mauna is the teacher. There's much that we have to learn from the Mauna, and astronomy is certainly one of those things. But the educational opportunities that are embedded in the privilege of being able to be on the Mauna are huge. And as you folks know, one of the ways that we, meaning the university, has tried to express that is to say, let's look at other ways to use our assets on the Mauna to expand our educational programming that might be possible. And that's built into our new master plan. And we hope that the new authority will take pause and explore that with us, because we do think that that's a worthwhile endeavor. We do think that there's plenty of opportunity for building on culturally based approaches to resource management. Some of that we have been trying to do. We certainly agree with that. Indigenous knowledge and ways of stewardship can and should sit side by side and work with sort of traditional, more Western-based approaches to stewardship, if you will. So we do think that there's plenty of opportunity for building a more integrated, holistic ways of thinking about and stewarding the mountain. Everybody is concerned about the resources. There's no doubt about that. Again, no matter what side of the issue you sit on, to Malama Mauna Kea, to Malama Aina, to protect and steward the resources, we hear that consistently. And I do think we can all agree on that. And lastly, this notion that the Mauna is very large, as we all know. And it takes many hands, and it will take many hands to steward the Mauna. We have tried to do that through our advisory groups and various other endeavors. I think it's going to be important for the new authority to look at building relationships, not just with the communities, but quite frankly with Department of Hawaiian Homelands as well as DLNR. Because if we really want to bring kind of a holistic perspective to managing Mauna Kea, it really will require multiple stakeholders and communities. So there is common ground for us to build on, and I'm hopeful that we can do that. So just to kind of briefly remind folks of what HB 2024 Conference Draft 1 does. It creates a new authority that is responsible for all planning, permitting, and management of Mauna Kea. It's founded on a paradigm of mutual stewardship. The idea of community-based, stakeholder-based, Native Hawaiian based stewardship, where all parties have a voice at the table. It establishes astronomy as a state policy, which was an important aspect of this bill. It puts in place an 11-member governing board that's appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in my next slide. It does seem to replace, and this is where there's some confusion in the bill, but it does seem to replace the board and the Department of Land and Natural Resources, as well as their Land Use Commission in terms of their oversight of conservation lands that are currently managed by UH under the authority of the regents. There's some contradictory language in the bill that at times says this new authority will still be subject to the rules and statutes governing conservation lands, but there's other language that does clearly indicate that they report to no one. There is no oversight by the board or the Department of Land and Natural Resources. And in theory, they could so designate those lands into another boundary classification other than conservation, which is normally a Land Use Commission responsibility. It establishes a 5-year transition period where this new authority, Mauna Kea Stewardship Oversight Authority, what we refer to as MK-SOA and CMS jointly manage the Mauna. They're required to be financially self-sustaining in year 6, so after this 5-year transition period. They can create new advisory groups. That's clearly within the stated in the bill. And it sets a 7% UH observing time floor, so that that's sort of the base level of UH observing time going forward that UH would be able to obtain from agreements with the Mauna Kea observatories. So this is what it does. This is the composition of the board, the 11-member board. Several of these are ex officio, chair of Board of Land Natural Resources, the mayor, and the chair of Board of Regents, or their designees. There is a representative, as indicated here on item number 6, for the Mauna Kea observatories. And then there are 2 members who will be appointed by the governor from a list of 3 names submitted each by the president of the Senate and the speaker of the House of Representatives. The seats highlighted in yellow are those that the governor would nominate and select directly. And it is our understanding that a process is being developed now to begin identifying people who might qualify under these criteria. And then it establishes that a minimum of 3 of the 11 members of the authority shall be residents of the County of Hawaii. So this is the composition of the board. So if this is going to work, here are some of the key concerns we have identified in working with Chair Case and others, we'd like to ensure that the protections for the Mauna remain. Again, the language in the bill is unclear as to whether how those protections, the conservation district use classification sort of applies and how those protections are ensured. We think that it's important that the new authority think about Hawaii being more than just a landlord. There's a real risk that could happen here. That was Governor Burns's vision for developing astronomy on Mauna Kea, and that is why the University of Hawaii was selected to hold the general lease. It was really through that relationship that we were able to develop the Institute for Astronomy into a world-class teaching and research organization. We don't know if 5 years are going to be enough for this transition period. They have a lot of work to do, plans that have to be developed, administrative rules that have to be developed, and then, of course, the legal challenges that are likely to pop up along the way. I think one of the key objectives for the new authority will be to really sort of look at how does a mutual stewardship paradigm how is that actually actualized? What does that look like in operation, in their decision making, et cetera? The bill itself doesn't necessarily do that on its own. I think it's going to really come down to the people who are appointed to the board. There will be, they'll have to decide on how they're going to finance things. There's a one-time $14 million appropriation that the new authority receives. But they're going to be asked to be financially self-sustaining in year 6. And a question is whether there's going to be pressure to commercialize the activities on the Mauna. I think there will be some interesting challenges with board and advisory group recruitment. We hope and we would like to encourage folks to consider volunteering. It's going to be really, really important. And I personally have a concern with the Hawaii Island representation being adequate. I think it would be a travesty if the board only ended up with 3 people being Hawaii Island or Hawaii County residents. As you folks have pointed out, there are numerous transition issues that all sort of raise the question of who's really in charge. Getting clarification on this is going to be really, really important. And then we'll have to spend some time really addressing impacts to UH astronomy. I think there's an internal conversation with IFA and CMS and Mauna Kea executives who are responsible for Mauna Kea to really look at what does this all mean for the future of UH astronomy on a number of different fronts. And then, of course, I personally am also concerned about what happens to our people and what happens to our advisory groups, because you folks have all been very key to making this work. So these are some key concerns that we have identified. And I have been working with Chair Case at the governor's request to identify, amendments to the bill that we think would need to be made, all in the interest of establishing more clarity and certainty of exactly what the new authority is and isn't. So some of the amendments we're looking at are intended to clarify roles and financial responsibilities specifically during the transition period. Again, I know that that's something of an interest to you folks. What would need to be done to ensure the conservation district protections remain? Exactly how does the new authority gain title, if you will, to the land? Are they transferred through an executive order, or is there a new general lease from the DLNR to the authority? And that's actually kind of important to clarify because that'll determine somewhat the approach to the authority to issue new land agreements or leases, as well as the permitting requirements that they are now responsible for creating or establishing. And then authority, the bill does say that the authority will do all of these things, develop a management plan, as well as adopt rules. And all of that has to be done before they can really, begin lease negotiations with the observatories. So one of the things that we've been looking at is recommending at least an initial adoption of our existing plans and rules and advisory groups through the transition, so they can, before they start making wholesale changes to those things, so they can begin the process of negotiating with the Mauna Kea observatories on new leases. So that's kind of where we're at. I can tell you that much of our focus, our meaning UH's focus, CMS's focus right now is on identifying potential nominees to these board seats. Our plan is to provide some suggestions to the governor on people that we think would be good fits, particularly for those yellow highlighted seats. And then as Andy knows, there's a sort of need for us to kind of focus internally on sort of building bridges with the observatories and really ensuring that we build a common foundation on a vision for astronomy on Mauna Kea going forward. I do think the authority will be coming to us, to the MKOs, and asking us for what is our vision for astronomy on Mauna Kea going forward. Because they're going to have to, at some point, come to grips with making decisions around numbers of observatories and a process for identifying which ones stay, which ones go, all of that stuff. And so that should start with the conversation about a vision, and what do we collectively think astronomy on Mauna Kea could look like. And part of that is sort of a more internal UH discussion about UH astronomy in particular. So lots of work ahead of us. But that concludes my executive director's report this evening. I know that there must be a ton of questions. I did request from Chair Roberta that I will be making a motion later on to move into executive session to discuss some of this stuff, because it does affect membership of our advisory groups, and particularly you folks. But I can take any general questions at this point.
I have a question. So Greg, is there a timeline on when he wants these names submitted? Because his position, he is out of office December, right? Early
Right.
December.
Right. No, we have not gotten a timeline as to what he's looking at in terms of making these appointments. It's one of the things that President Lasner is trying to get some clarity on. At this point, we're not actually even sure if he's going to sign the bill or just let the bill become law without his signature. We don't even know that.
Because the Senate will have to meet and confirm the selection, right?
Right, correct. Any other questions?
No.
But you have no indication if he's actually going to sign it at
We do
this
not.
point, right?
We do not. We do not.
No. I'll reserve comment for now.
Any other questions or comments? And I apologize if I've repeated some of this stuff in earlier meetings, but I just thought it might be useful to kind of recapture things.
Thank you, Greg.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I have one question. Has there been a map really outlining the new area for the entity to be the new authority of?
One of the proposed amendments was to, or is to, clearly delineate that the new authorities, the lands that they would be responsible for are the same lands held under our general lease, or our 3 general leases. The original bill was not clear on that. And so we have developed some language to recommend that.
So
So
not
there
all the way
wouldn't be
down to Pu'u,
No,
Hulu
no.
Hulu. Okay.
no.
Uh,
Yeah, Andy.
Greg, how would amendments like that be done?
At this point, my understanding is they'd have to be introduced in the next legislative session.
Right.
What's not clear is do the proposed amendments have to go through the same committees, or does it sort of start all over? I'm not certain about how that works.
Yeah.
So the amendments, whatever is recommended, could easily not pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Continue the ambiguity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens when it's ambiguous?
I think we go to the lawyers and ask for their help in interpreting that. Right, Diana?
What ends up happening is if you can't reach some sort of an agreement, then it goes to court to get it solved. And I suspect some of them end up in court at some point. But but ambiguities where there's no clear authority is just a big target for someone, you know.
Yeah, I think you would hope that
But we'll see.
some of the ambiguities that are due to just mistakes would be fixed without controversy, but you never know.
Yeah. Greg, did you have a sense on whether the governor is going to try to appoint anybody, or he's going to leave it to the next governor?
Our sense is that he's going to appoint soon before he leaves office.
Oh,
That's not confirmed, but that's our sense.
that would be good. I think it's possible, you know, Gary, and I'd be interested to hear what you think on this. If he appoints people and people sit down with the Center for Maunakea Management, and they kind of everybody reach an agreement and try to make decisions by consensus with the two groups. It could actually work until, through the transition, if everybody tried to reach a consensus.
Well, yeah, I think the language of the legislation calls for cooperation during the transition period. So that would certainly be the goal. Whether or not in all respects it's possible, we'll find out. But that's certainly what I think the bill anticipates, that the current management structure will work with the new management structure cooperatively, and at the end of 5 years, the new folks can take over completely. Well,
I think that could work. I can see that, but it would require a lot of patience and fortitude, I think. So.
And people willing to commit to volunteer for 8 years.
Mhm.
It's not so that it's not a revolving door, having all different new people coming in and out.
That's a good point, Roberta.
For the record, the problem that I have is the fact that we are being asked to assist with some of the language on all of this in the existing bill to make this a better bill. I mean, it has to succeed somehow, but it's legally a very fine line. It's already a gut and replace bill, as I've said before. To add more language to try to fix it only exacerbates that situation. Yet at the same time, we need to figure out a way to help make this work. So this is a really difficult situation that we are being placed into. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Well, Julia brings up the whole issue of Maunakea Management Board membership, when our terms are due, who's gonna continue, who's gonna leave. I mean, it's not gonna be easy at all.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that, Jesse likes to keep reminding me and us is until the actual transition occurs, we meaning universities, still have a legal obligation to manage to the CMP, ensure compliance with the CMP and the leases and all of that stuff. And I'm really hopeful that you folks will continue to serve with us, because the MKMB, Kahukuman, and the Environment Committee are critical parts to that whole process. And we will be legally obliged to continue to comply with that process until things change.
But for clarity, that's the existing CMP as it stands right now, yet the authority still has to accept it, be willing to accept it as written.
Yeah. Or change it or whatever.
Okay, I think any further discussion we can do via executive session where, we seek our attorney's input on some of the comments and questions. Unless there is opposition, what I'd like to do is continue through the agenda and take care of what we need to cover. Is there any opposition to that? Please raise your hand. Okay, if not, then I would like to complete Greg's executive director's report and move into the agenda items tonight. The first one being Maunakea.
Okay, thank you, Chair. First, I apologize for the volumes of documents that we sent you folks. Yes, just be assured that we're not asking you folks to make any recommendations tonight. We wanted to give this material to you folks well ahead of time. Our hope is that over the next month, you'll have plenty of opportunity to review the material so that when we come back in August at our next public meeting, you folks would be prepared to approve the Conservation District use application and the environmental assessment for the UH Hilo's proposed new education telescope to be built at Halepohaku. I'm going to just pull up a few things here just to kind of orient you folks to what we have provided you folks. There are obviously several documents that we provided you, but I'm just going to point you folks to a couple of them that I think are really would be helpful for you to start with because they kind of provide sort of the basic background. So the first document is this summary. I think it's about 8 pages that was developed by the consultants, SSFM. Summarizing the major components and aspects of the draft environmental assessment. What they've done is extracted certain material and sections from the draft EA and put it into kind of this Cliff Notes version of what's in the draft EA. So once again, the proposed action is to build this new education teaching telescope for UH Hilo, the UH Hilo astronomy program at Halepohaku. And to outline the potential impacts, short-term, temporary, and longer-term of this action, both positive and negative impacts. So this is a short summary extracted from the draft EA itself as to what's in it. And then it goes into the document goes into all the different sections and reviews very succinctly potential impacts that have been identified in the draft EA, along with minimization or mitigation measures that are being proposed. And it gives you the section of the draft EA to refer to. So it goes through the whole thing, cultural, archaeological, water, air quality, etc. So this is kind of a synopsis of what the findings, if you will, were. And then it concludes by referencing the various plans, land use plans or policies that we reviewed to ensure that this plan is consistent with those. And then the major conclusions of the draft EA. And the major conclusion was a finding of no significant impact that would be the result of this action, the development of this new telescope. So this would be a place to kind of start your review if you haven't actually started flipping through the documents. And then, of course, you have the complete document itself, so you can start to zero in on different sections. Hang on a second. I want to pull up something else now. Okay. You have to close this and start all over. There we go. Okay, there we go. So the second document is actually the Conservation District Use Permit Application, or what we call the CDUA. And for the most part, it's a form that we fill out that has required information. But a lot of the information is really a repetition of what's in the draft EA. So what our consultant did was, what Jennifer did at SSFM was create or pull out the table of contents so that you can see what's in the different sections of the actual application. So as you can see, the application form itself is pretty straightforward. These are just sort of information fields that we are required to complete and put in our information. A lot of what's in pages 7 through 12 are summaries of the existing, on the existing conditions, what's summaries of what's in the EA. Cultural impacts, obviously, is something we probably want to take a look at. The criteria that we evaluated the project against. But then you also see down here, we actually include the environmental assessment. Which is something that you already have. So when we submit the application, it will be part of the packet. And so what this is intended to do is to just help you orient to what's in the application itself. And so again, we're providing all of this to you ahead of time. You have a full month to sort of look through it, prepare your questions. At our next meeting, we will have the consultants here with us to answer any questions that you may have regarding either the environmental assessment or the CDUA. And then, of course, you've got the whole application and some various other materials that were supplied in those zip drives as well. So we just wanted to take the opportunity tonight to just kind of orient you folks to the material, to the information. Can take any questions you may have now, but I think if you haven't spent a whole lot of time with the documents, it's probably better that you do that, and then we can take those detailed questions up in August.
Any questions from anyone?
And again, we have provided these same documents to both Kahuku Mauna and Environment Committees this month. So they're going through the same process. We're going to give them about a month to review things before we actually ask for an approval. Andy.
So then, Greg, I do have a question about that then. So is, for example, the Environment Committee's input, is that input to you or is it input to us?
It's input to both, actually. And if there's substantive input that requires any kind of changes, then we make those before we bring it to you folks or to us. They've actually had it for a while. We gave it to them a while ago. So far there hasn't been any questions that have arisen.
The same process, Greg, would apply with Kahuku Mauna as well, right?
Yeah. And by the way, the reason why we're presenting these together is a recommendation by Kahuku Mauna. They felt that because so much of the information in the CDUA is a replication of what's in the EA, just bring them forth together as one package. So that's why we're bringing it this way, forward this way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My only question is if when we go through this and we approve the CDUA process for this, is it going to change or is it subject to change on the authority? Or is it going to just transfer directly to the authority?
We have made it clear, President Lasner's formal comments about the statement about HB 2024. We made it clear that there are certain things that we will be moving forward with. And one of those things, I mean, the decommissionings, obviously, and then and this particular project. So we're committed to moving forward. Could it change if the authority wants to nix it? Yes, that in theory could change.
But if there's no new authority created, then UH and the current structure will have precedence, or is that not
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. I mean, for some reason, there's a problem with establishing the new authority. I think, the existing structure will stay in place until they figure that out.
Well, if there's no other questions or comments, what I would like to do is move into the agenda item B, the MKMB membership, and Greg, you can make your motion.
Yeah, so I'd like to move that we move into executive session to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities pursuant to HRS 925A4 regarding membership and community engagement. Obviously, there are implications of HB 2024 for our role in membership that I'd like to discuss offline with our attorney.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Billy. Is a motion to move in and a second to move into executive session. All in favor, raise your hands or say aye.
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 Okay, unanimous approval. We will now move into executive session and reconvene once we complete that. Thank you. So there is a second link.
Yep.
For everyone to zoom into. See you in a few.
I'm waiting for everybody to get on board. I'll do it too.
Say something, Diane?
No, my husband's asking how much longer we're gonna be because he has dinner ready. So I'm just telling him that I'll be ready.
Few minutes. I'm still waiting for Billy. Here he is.
Hmm.
Great, it is now 7:03 and I will reconvene the public meeting of the Maunakea Management Board. We have come out of executive session, basically having had a discussion about MKMB's membership moving forward as it relates to the new authority being put in place. So at this point, there's just more questions than answers. We will just proceed as we have been. Let's see, I don't have any other, any announcements. Greg, do you have any announcements?
No further announcements from me. Thank you.
Okay, well, our next public meeting will be on June 7th, same time, 5 o'clock. I guess my question is, well, we need to have,
Oh, you're on mute. Still on mute.
oh,
Okay.
okay, our next meeting will be August. I'm sorry, I gotta look at the calendar.
August 2nd.
August 2nd, thank you. Well, we need special meeting later this month, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I don't believe so.
so with that in mind, the board will meet next August 2nd, same time, same place. Thank you everyone for attending, and I hope you had a safe and happy 4th of July. Mahalo, and have a great rest of the evening. Aloha.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.